this was a mess. This really was a mess. Let's start at the beginning. Now, I'm telling you a story that I'm well aware that you most likely know. Allow me to condescend to you in case you've been on vacation and you haven't had an internet connection, you're not caught up to speed. But going into this fight, okay, this is for the vacated flyweight championship. This is for Demetrius's old belt. This is for Cejudo's old belt. In that order. Cejudo walked away from this thing, goes up to 135, so they're going to go and fight for this. Now, this was very meaningful storyline-wise for the entire division, okay? That division has been in the hot seat for a meaningful period of time, to the point that there was even rumors going around that the entire division, all the paperwork, literally the contracts of every 125-pounder was going to be sold to another organization. From ONE FC to World Series of Fighting, now known as the PFL. These rumors were out there and really weren't in large part being disputed by anybody. Generally, where there's some smoke, there's some fire, but it was a little bit clear that the UFC didn't know what they wanted to do with this division. Insert Henry Cejudo. King of Cringe comes along, and all of a sudden, people want to see him fight, and if he's fighting at 125, nobody gives a damn. We want to see him. Boom, 125 is saved. Henry goes and becomes a champ, leaves the division. All right. I know that I'm condescending. That was painfully boring for most of you hardcore fans because you know the story, but it's extremely relevant for any new listener because, absent of Henry Cejudo, who is credited with saving the division, okay? When he leaves, it would leave you to believe then the division's going to go away. Nope, not so fast. Dana had different ideas, and this largely came from a spot of generosity, in all fairness. This thing does not pencil, but he understands, man, these are still my guys. And they still worked hard, and they still sacrificed for a place in this company. And whether I got to reach into my coffers or not, I'm keeping them around. I'm keeping them around as long as I can. Very kind and very thoughtful thing that he'll never get credit for. But that's what happened here. And so you bring in a stud like Benavidez. Now, Benavidez is going to go fight Figueiredo. Figueiredo is a straight-up killer, for sure. But it would seem that Benavidez just is a little better at everything. Maybe I'm only sharing my own opinion here. But Joseph Benavidez is a fantastic fighter. I mean, if you ever watch him, it would be very, very difficult for you to negatively critique him. If you would ever watch Benavidez, win or lose, matches he wins or loses, it would still be very hard for you to come away and go, okay, here's what you need to work on. Here's what his weaknesses are. If you're an opposing coach, it's very hard to study Joseph Benavidez videos and understand what a good strategy would be. I mean, this guy can just do a little bit of everything, and he can do it all night long. Benavidez is a really talented guy. Didn't know a whole lot about Figueiredo. Benavidez had beat the king, Henry Cejudo, before. It seemed as though this was Benavidez' title to come in and grab, and a lot was put on Joseph Benavidez, saying, okay, listen, soon-to-be champ, if you grab that thing, you got to then light the whole division on fire. The same thing that Henry did for the boys, you now need to do for the boys. And that's not really in Benavidez' wheelhouse. But it's not something he doesn't have the capability of doing. If you saw him on Ryan and Kelly and Ryan, whatever that show's called, if you saw him on that, you saw a lot of personality. I mean, he was a lot of fun on there. He choked Seacrest out, did great ratings, went viral on some clips because of the guillotine. I mean, he's got this within him. It's just not something he likes to do. Okay, fine. I just want you to understand what's going into this because the night before constitutes the weigh-ins and Figueiredo doesn't make weight. By a meaningful amount. It was like 2.5 pounds, but 2.5 pounds at 125 pounds, you're talking over 1% of body weight now. I mean, it was a meaningful amount of weight that he missed by. So the fight is going to go on. History says the fight goes on. The basic rule in showbiz is the show must go on. We understand all of these things. Nothing here was off color, but now Figueiredo cannot become champion even if he wins. So Benavidez still gets his opportunity. He can become the champion. They go out and fight, and it looks as though, at least from where I'm sitting, everything is going to work itself out. Because Benavidez is better, and Benavidez is going to get the jump on him, and Benavidez is going to leave with the title. He's got a little momentum going behind him, and a lot of people were very happy for him, knowing that he had earned this and deserved this, and this is his big moment. And a lot of people that have come along the Benavidez journey were very happy for what was about to happen to him. Well, didn't work out. And it was a good and close fight. Figueiredo just did a damn good job of understanding range. So much is made of a reach advantage and a height advantage, and all that means is who has more of it than the other. It's not actually an advantage, historically speaking. But if a guy knows how to use it, Tommy Hitman Hearns only comes around once every 30 years. A guy, John Jones, only comes around once in a lifetime. Somebody that actually has reach, but then knows how to use it. It's a rare thing. Turned out Figueiredo was damn good at knowing how to use it. So he was going to the body. He was coming upstairs. I mean, he was a mess. He was a big puzzle, and Benavidez was trying to figure it out. Ultimately, it didn't go his way. Figueiredo wins the fight, but guess what? He doesn't win the championship. This is a mess. So headlines are coming out that the whole division, looms on Dana White's decision. It's like, first off, I won't tell you that isn't factually correct, but it does carry a connotation with it that is very unfair. That division is only around to this day because Dana White decided graciously to keep it. In all fairness, this was an expense. It was a tough thing to do. He believed in it. He dumped more into promotion. He tried to convince people, went over hearts and minds and attention. So to act as though that he's just going to cut it like it was some cold-hearted business, that's just not what happened. But you can only be gracious and kind and nice so many times. You can only provide opportunities so many times. I will share with you, there's not another promoter that would have done it this long. Don't think for a second Bob Arum or Oscar De La Hoya or even Vince McMahon, who openly will tell anybody, the only thing I will ever give you is opportunity. Anything else, you have to go out and do it on your own. I will give you an opportunity. You either succeed or you'll fail completely on your own. I'll turn your contract into a paper airplane collection right into the trash can. That's the way it goes. I mean, it's a very cutthroat thing. That's not what happened at the UFC, in all fairness to that division. And I'm not ready to predict for you that division is going away. I think in many ways the Figueiredo fight against Benavidez was a lot of fun. I mean, that was a good fight. Didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, but it was an action-packed fight. I think Figueiredo has some major heel heat right now. He was one of these guys who beats Benavidez and does a full victory like he had just won something. He had just won a contest that contractually is not what he agreed to do and wasn't what his opponent agreed to do, and it wasn't what anybody else signed up for either. I always find that part very weird. There seems to be a need for somebody who is extremely humble. And as you guys hear me say that, you're going to think, Chael, you're stealing a line from Anthony Smith. Yes, you would be right. Anthony Smith said this on ESPN, but I telling you right now, he and I were sharing a brain on that one. Anthony Smith goes on ESPN after, and he was trying to give Figueiredo his moment, but he was being a real guy. I mean, he's a commentator. I'm talking about Anthony Smith now. He's a commentator who was also a competitor. So he offers you a very different perspective, and it's one of the more fun things that happens on the ESPN broadcast of MMA. You will see a lot of former football players go in and cover football. You will not see an active football player. So when Anthony Smith comes out, he says, look, you know what I needed to see? I needed to see some real humility here. I don't even know if I want to talk about the X's and O's of the fight. I want to talk about that celebration. I want to talk about the demeanor. This guy comes in, breaks the rules, cheats, doesn't suffer, as he promised he would do to the extent that Joseph Benavidez did, has a very clear advantage, gets the jump on Benavidez, and then celebrates, all the while being fined, being in violation, leaving the title vacant, leaving everybody else on the roster behind with nobody to challenge and no opportunity to go after because they're still not a champion. I need to see a little humility. Look, I'm in that same spot. I am in that same spot with Figueiredo. Now, possibly, he could create so much hate and so much anger that saves the division. I mean, look, that division, don't forget, because I'm talking drama here, guys. I'm not talking skills. Go look at Demetrius Johnson. Guy looks like he's doing a video game. He's doing moves nobody's seen before. At a speed nobody's seen it. And he's got a gimmick, and he's got a look, and he's got a big fan base. I mean, there's all sorts of things there. He was also just a really nice guy. Really nice guys don't create a whole lot of drama. We're in the entertainment era right now. A little bit of drama is good. Possibly Figueiredo has outsmarted us all. I've never spoke about him before. I'm not 100% sure when I say Figueiredo that I'm pronouncing his name right, and I'm not attempting to be condescending if I do have it wrong. I just don't know this young man. I just don't know him. I don't question his skills. I just don't know him. possibly he's going to come in and save the division by being a bad guy. The one thing that division has not had in a meaningful period of time. Cejudo didn't fit that bill. Demetrius damn sure didn't fit that bill. Benavidez, in all fairness, doesn't fit the bill. Just really nice guys. They're just competitors, but not a whole lot to see there. If you're a big fight fan, you like the X's and O's, boom. That's your division. Gonna see skills there like you've never seen anywhere else, for sure. But in the entertainment era, gotta know why you're fighting. Gotta tell a story. Gotta tell a story before the fight. Just a very real thing. So let's see where this all goes and let's see how this plays out. I think that it's a little bit hard to deny Figueiredo, being as he did win the match. I think it's a little bit hard to elevate and promote Figueiredo since he did not make weight for the match. And historically, we've seen this a couple of times where it doesn't really bruise a guy too bad. I think Yoel Romero is a very fine example of this. Yoel Romero missed weight twice in title fights. Yoel Romero missed 2/10 of a pound. 2/10 of a pound is just not very much weight at all. But he still missed nonetheless. Beats Rockhold the very next night. Record books nowhere will ever show Yoel Romero as a world champion. Had he lost the 2/10 of a pound and then had that performance, which he did have, he would be known as a world champion. But he was given another opportunity, and he's days away from another opportunity. So there's a chance that this is Figueiredo's big moment. But I think he does need to play this wisely. And I think he would be wise to take some advice from Lionheart Smith. In all fairness, we are owed an apology. He did not just make a promise and a deal with Benavidez, and he did not just make a promise and a deal with the promotion. He made a promise and a deal with the fans, and he signed it and dated it, and put it in a fax machine, and people bought tickets to see a new champion crowned, which did not happen. Lionheart is right. Figueiredo needs to put this on, lay it on the table. I'm sorry I screwed up. Here's exactly what happened. And much like Yoel Romero, this is not going to happen again. Or leave the division and go up to 135 and solve it down. I mean, there's a number of things there. I just feel that the story is not complete until we do get an explanation, and I do tend to lean with Anthony on this one. That explanation needs to start with, I'm sorry.